In this video, I'm going to give you some ideas about how to build and paint your kill teams to give them a little bit more personality. Back in July, I made a video about building your kill team lists and how to do that, for your hobby heroes, how to look at it from that aspect, more of a list building thing. I mean, not super crazy strategic and tactical, but still an idea about how to go that direction with more the list building for the hobby hero in kill team. You can watch that video, pachow. But since then, I've been building and texturing bases and priming, and I've been pretty busy. I've been building and working on a lot of different kill teams. You've seen some of that stuff if you've been following maybe on Instagram. But I kind of wanted to talk about the thought process that kind of goes into really personalizing your specific kill teams, specifically your leaders and your specialists. A really long time ago, I made a video about personalizing your miniatures, and it was more, pachow. It's old, so the sound is not great, the lighting is not great, just a little FYI. But it was more about this model did something amazing in a game once, and so therefore I'm giving it a trophy. Used a melt-a-gun and destroyed a tank in one shot, and so it gets a cool skull like on a spike on its backpack or whatever. That's a chaos guy that I've got. But I talked about that kind of stuff in that, but that was more a reaction to what has happened in the game. What I'm talking about here is a little bit more about giving the personality, thinking about the group, the kill team, before you start building and painting. One of the things that's important about kill team is that you have a leader and you have up to 3 specialists. Specialists have specialisms, but the specialists can be anything from communications, heavy weapons, sniper, combat veteran. There's more in there that I've forgotten. Medic, I'm pretty sure. And so when you're looking at your forces over the battlefield, which are admittedly much smaller forces, at least in numbers, than in other games like, Age of Sigmar or Warhammer 40,000, or any kind of big army type game, what you're looking at is a small elite group, at least in the storyline, a small elite group that has been kind of sent in to do a specific thing, some sort of Delta Force, I think is an American Army thing, or maybe it's just a Chuck Norris movie, I'm not sure. But the concept is that these are kind of elites that have been sent in to do a specific thing. You may not actually be using elites from the actual force organization chart within the codexes. They're generally regular troops actually that you're sending in, but these are a very specific, I like to think of them almost as an expendable group of elite troops that we're sending in to do a specific thing. Maybe it's just recon, maybe it's to take out a supply thingy, I don't know, whatever. But the fact is that before you even start building, you can kind of start thinking about what you want them to look like, what you want them to do, and how you can differentiate them from the other ones in the group. Some 40K forces have a lot of sameness to them. Let's just say that. Let's just talk about the Necrons. I have a Necron force. Necrons are kind of Necrons. They pretty much all look sort of the same generally, and they all kind of look like robot skeletons. But I wanted to take my force and differentiate it in a way, and so this is the way that I kind of thought about it. Some people refer to this as head canon, where basically you make up the story in your head for some other properties kind of story. But what I did was I decided that all my warriors, who are all painted exactly the same, that totally makes sense within the realm of their army, because warriors are all warriors. They're mindless, kind of just, foot soldiers. But the immortals and the death marks, which are the other thing that I can kind of take, that I've taken in my kill team list, they are, by the name immortals, I figure they're older. They've been around longer, let's say. They have some more personality, and they've got some differentiation that they've done to themselves, either just because they've got a bit more personality than the standard warriors, or because it's kind of indicative either of their rank or their role within the list. So my leader, he carries a Tesla carbine instead of the regular Gauss blaster or whatever the other ones are. And also he's got some kind of red kind of striping that sets him apart from the rest of them. But the other ones are, kind of in different colors. My comms guy is not only kind of a bluish color in comparison, like a metallic blue, but he's also got a little antenna on him. It's the antenna kind of hoop thing from the Voxcaster backpack that you see on the Imperial Guard. I drilled a hole in his shoulder, and I clipped one of those off, and I stuck it in there, glued it in there, and so now I can tell from a glance at a distance that this is the comms guy. That's really one of the big benefits, besides the enjoyment of kind of getting in there and thinking about the story and building these guys and doing all that stuff and being very custom with your kill team, which you can do because there's not a super big amount of guys you need to have in your force. The other benefit is that just now at a glance on the table, I can tell which one's the comms guy. If they all look kind of the same and I have to kind of look at them special to go, is that the medic or is that it slows the game down and it just causes your strategy to potentially be, not as great. When you just look at it and go, yep, that comms guy is exactly where I need him to be so he can do his effect and have it hit these other guys and do their thing, that kind of stuff really makes a lot of sense. I also have a sniper, a death mark, and being a sniper, I figured he should be kind of dark, so I painted him pretty, very dark because I figured he should be able to hide in the shadows and snipe, that just made sense to me. Nothing else really there structurally going on. I just wanted to make sure that the paint could be done so that he was differentiated and also being a sniper be kind of dark. You don't have to go through and completely customize every single last model, especially if it's not something that you're super familiar with yet, the whole kind of customization and converting. But even just paint job differences can really help, especially, again, at a glance, so that you can tell the difference between your, sniper and your medic, that kind of stuff. I've also got a veteran Necron warrior, and in this situation, the thought that went through my head is he's been around for a long time, hence veteran. He's kind of yellowed. He's the one that's probably the rustiest in the group, and he also has Space Marine purity seals, which over the time he has pulled off of downed Space Marines and stuck them to his gun and to his chest and stuff like that as trophies, basically. I kind of liked that concept of these kind of just horrible metallic robot guys doing that kind of stuff. So he's going to get some blood splatter too, I think, at some point soon. I haven't finished these guys like that. I haven't not primed them, but I haven't sprayed the varnish over them, the matte varnish I like to use. So I still want to do a little bit of splatter. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the splatter before or after the varnish. It depends if I want it to look fresh or not. So anyway, these are the things that you can take the time because you're dealing with a smaller force, but you can look at it and really get in there and go, okay, cool, this is really what I want to do to make these guys, this particular group, special. Another work in progress that's very close to being done is my Primaris Space Marine kill team. These are Black Templar. And the thing that's also, I think, very interesting about what you can do with a kill team is because kill teams are very different than normal rank and file troops, you don't have to follow dead on the specifics of any really well-known army. Like if you were going Blood Angels, let's say, in Space Marines, Adeptus Astartes, you could paint them you could go all red without any, there's a lot of different things you could do. What I'm doing with these in particular is I'm using the black and white color scheme, except that it's really more of a very dark gray, and then their shoulder pads, instead of being white, are more of a cream, almost a bone color. And also, I'm using three-dimensional, the crosses on the shoulder. I'm not using the decals, but I'm not going to paint them black. So they're going to be a little bit more subtle, but because they stick out so far, they're from Shapeways. They're the little glue-on extra shoulder pad icons. Because they stick out so much, they kind of cast more of a shadow, and it works out really well for making them. You still look at them and go, "Yep, those are Black Templar," but these guys are not your standard Black Templar. This is my sergeant. She's not got a helmet on, of course, because that's what sergeants do. It's on her hip, and I've made the helmet kind of a bone color as well, whereas all the rest of them, the other Primaris Marines in this group, have all got black helmets. I've also got two scouts in here, a regular scout and a scout sniper. The scout sniper is also very different. He's obviously, when you look at him from a distance, you go, oh, well, that's the sniper. But I wanted to make it look like a sniper. So again, I went with very dark colors. It's a very dark color palette. There's not a lot going on because he needs to hide in the shadows. I'm going to be doing some really cool camo work on his actual, camo cloak on the back, using some little templates and an airbrush to make a real kind of camo, kind of fleck tarn sort of, maybe a urban-y kind of camo look. I'm trying to keep the color palette on these guys all very the same and everything, and think these things through. Putting that thought process in ahead of time before you start painting can really help you keep your paint scheme together and make it look really interesting. But also even thinking about these things before you start building. There's times when you might want to add extra special little parts and stuff like that. Because these guys are Black Templar, besides the shoulder pads, I also had a bunch of extra old Black Templar bits, like those kind of incense, kind of censer things, those little balls full of incense that they would hang off their belts, and a bunch of other kind of specific Black Templar stuff. So I stuck a bunch of that stuff on there too to make them stand out a little bit more. The sniper's very easy to pick out. The leader's very easy to pick out. That kind of stuff, figuring out what I'm going to do with those specialists to make them just really look that much more kind of specific so that from a glance, they're easy to pick out during the game. It just makes a lot of sense. So have some fun with it. Think about, what can I do? Think about the story. Think about, Kill Team is very much about storyline. If you go through the books, as I've mentioned in the past, there's like a little chart for every different race, for the Depths Mechanicus, the Genestealer cults. There's little charts in there that says, well, this is kind of like this is the reason they're doing what they're doing, or this is the style of kill team that they are, and here's names and things like that. You can do all that kind of stuff and make it really work out well for you, so that kind of thing kind of spur more of the creativity, so that you can then build really cool looking models that are very specialized and specific, because you want to use the specialisms. But then you can also, from that point, then take the paint to another level, because again, you don't have to paint so many guys. You can really spend a lot of time and think about, are these guys going to be more splattered in blood? Are they going to be designed more to be hiding, so they want to be like darker colors and camouflage? Are they specific, supposed to draw fire on the battlefield? Or they've been sent off to do a specific thing, almost to as a feint to send off and kind of, draw fire and all that kind of stuff? Do you want to really go crazy with the heraldry or whatever, or the bright colors? If they're Dark Eldar, do they want to have crazy paint schemes? Or think of the Harlequins. Obviously, they should be if you made Harlequins that were pretty monochromatic, that would look weird. But maybe you want to go that way because they're maybe supposed to be sneaky Harlequins. It's all up to you. And thinking about that stuff before you even get building, not only is it just fun, it's fun when you're sitting in line someplace waiting for whatever at the bank. If anyone ever besides me goes to the bank anymore, you can be thinking about, well, I could do this or I could do that or whatever. And that'd be kind of cool if the storyline was like that. You can do all that and then have that kind of enjoyment, but then have it actually spur some really cool hobby kind of stuff that makes your specific kill teams really stand out, really personalized, and really your own.